So on November 19th, we got the death of Charles Manson. And if you followed what I've been talking about in these videos, I talk about how our media is coded with themes and also gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words. And I even mentioned Charles Manson back in October. I talked about how he was connected to Marilyn Manson and a bunch of interrelated stories. Marilyn Manson synced up to this JFK stuff with the JFK files being released, and he was dating Rose McGowan, and they filmed one of his music videos called Coma White had the reenactment of JFK being assassinated. Rose McGowan then was one of the big people in regards to Harvey Weinstein and the sexual molestation stuff. If you pay attention in the media. And I went on to talk about Charles Manson because Marilyn Manson named in honor of Charles Manson and Marilyn Monroe. And Charles Manson is the reason why the kneeling during the national anthem stuff is so significant because he believed in the helter skelter theory about blacks rising up. And now black people are kneeling during the national anthem. And even last year, we got the Falcons in the Super Bowl, the Falcons, the Black Bird, right? And the Beatles song Blackbird was the one Charles Manson said that to tell the blacks to rise up. That song was saying telling the blacks to rise up. So we had the Falcons in the Super Bowl. One of their big things was even rise up and whatever else. And anyway, Charles Manson just so happened to die at the age of 83. And in Gematria, and if you don't understand what Gematria is, check out the links in the description. I'll leave a link to this website so you can apply it for yourself, and you'll just understand a lot more of what I'm talking about. But in Gematria, the word football equals 83, so it was fitting for Charles Manson to die at the age of 83. Murder equals 83. A ton of other stuff in regards to 83. But he's connected to the national anthem and the flag symbolism. The U.S. flag, even the first time it was flown during a battle, was on 8/3 of the year 1777. The guy who wrote or designed the first flag, Francis Hopkinson, his name in Gematria equals 83. Red, white, and blue equals 83. It's very significant to football, significant to the reason Charles Manson died. But in the lately, I've been talking about how there is a cowboy theme that is going on in the media. I'll leave links in the description. But I was talking about the movie Stand By Me just days before the Sutherland church shooting, and I mentioned how these three guys right here have been in the media a whole lot. And then I saw Will Wheaton in the media on The Big Bang Theory, and he hadn't been on there for 2 seasons. And then when the Sutherland Springs shooting happened, he was on Fox News for making fun of the praying or whatever. But Sutherland Springs shooting, Kiefer Sutherland, who's in the movie Stand By Me, and then we got the story of the drunk driving of Neil Diamond Phillips, who's in Young Guns with Kiefer Sutherland, and the death of Roy Halladay, whose nickname was Doc Holliday. And then we got the Roy Moore stuff, the cowboy guy in Alabama, right? There's been a cowboy theme, and the same day that we got the death, or the day after we got the death of Charles Manson at age 83, we got the death of ex-Dallas Cowboy Terry Glenn, who wore number 83 for the Cowboys, and he died 8 months and 3 days after his birthday in Irving. That equals 83 in Gematria. And I'm going to go even more in depth in this video because we also just got the story about Charlie Rose suspended for sexual harassment. Charlie Rose, famous for interviewing Charles Manson. So one day after Charles Manson dies, we get a story in the media about Charlie Rose, a guy who, people know him for interviewing Charles Manson. And last year, I'm not even joking, last year I documented about Colin Kaepernick or Kid Rock saying fuck Colin Kaepernick, and I even talked about how it was connected to the national anthem stuff and whatever else. And I talked about the Simpsons episode, Kill the Alligator and Run. And it just so happens that this episode of The Simpsons also has Charlie Rose on it. Think about Kid Rock's song, Cowboy, Cowboy, or whatever. You know, and in Gematria, look what cowboy equals. Cowboy, 83. Terry Glenn, war number 83. Charles Manson dies at the age of 83. It's all of these stories are interrelated. So now that you understand there's some type of cowboy theme, I mean, we even just had the death of, what is it, this country music star, Mel Tillis, right? Reminding us of cowboy stuff. Jason Aldean at the Las Vegas shooting. Country music, reminding us of cowboys, right? Cowboy, cowboy, cowboy. Last year I would have said, I think this is for the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. I don't think that at all. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be in the Super Bowl. If they are, then I'll laugh. But I don't think it's for the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. I think it's connected to the World Series of next year, possibly the Texas Rangers. But anyway, the reason that it's connected to Charles Manson even more so is because he's, the famous murder was the Tate murder, right? Which was Roman Polanski's pregnant wife, Sharon Tate. That's the famous case, really, of Marilyn, or of, I keep saying Marilyn Manson, Charles Manson. He got this lady murdered, and she got murdered by Tex Watson. His nickname Tex Watson. Tex, right? Reminding us of Texas. Tex Watson. Look where she was born. Dallas, Texas. Tex Watson was from Farmersville, something, Texas, which is about 45 minutes away from Dallas, even. And it even connects to the Beach Boys. Brian Wilson. This guy supposedly stole songs from Charles Manson and gave the one girl a ride or something. Dennis Wilson died in the year 83. So everything about Charles Manson synced up to the number 83. Football equals 83. And cowboy equals 83. This theme that I have been following. So I started thinking in regards to dates. August 3rd is 8-3, right? A lot like 83. And I went from 8-3 to the day that Charles Manson died. A span of 3 months and 16 days. This is interesting because Charles Manson's full name, his full real name, is Charles Mills Maddox. And that equals 316 in Gematria. So he dies at age 83, 3 months, 16 days after 8-3, and his name equals 316. His birthday is November 12th. November 12th, show you here, November 12th, is the 316th day of the year even. 316 is super important. Charles Manson, many of his family, right, the Manson family, they believe that he was Jesus, like reincarnated or something. He was Jesus, right? And in Hebrew Gematria, Jesus Christ, let's type it out here if I can find it here. Jesus Christ in Hebrew Gematria. Just want to show you really quick. Ciphers. In Hebrew Gematria, Jesus Christ equals 316 in two forms even. Notice he also equals 10, right? The word God equals 10. The word Satan equals 10. Charlie Manson said he was Satan, or the devil and Jesus Christ mixed together, right? Satan equals 10. God equals 10. All the Marilyn Manson stuff that I was talking about goes back to his album or his song called Say 10. He says, you say God, and I say 10 in the song. The reason he says that is because Satan equals 10. God equals 10, you know. You say God, I say 10. Now we got Jesus Christ in Hebrew equals 10, also 316. Think about John 3:16 in the Bible as well. And think about that in regards to football. You know, how many people put that up? John 3:16. And think about the original kneeler in football. The original kneeler, Tim Tebow, right? And he had the 316 game. It's just so absolutely fitting to everything that I'm talking about in regards to kneeling during the national anthem and how it's connected to Charles Manson. Even 316, Kid Rock in Satanic Gematria. We'll find satanic here. Think about how that applies. Kid Rock, 316. You know? And Kid Rock is on this same episode of The Simpsons, which are important. The Simpsons last year were telling us the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. But I'm not going to go into that. But, you know, he's on the same episode of The Simpsons as Charlie Rose. And on that episode of The Simpsons they even make a joke about cowboys. And they have a desecrated flag that an alligator supposedly helped create. This is the flag of the town in Florida that the alligator supposedly helped create. Right? The desecrated flag. Let's play this little clip here of The Simpsons, just so you can hear where he talks about cowboys. Because basically, this whole episode is about Homer finds out he's going to die at the age of 42, which is interesting. Freemason 42. Charles Manson has a bunch of 42 around him. The prison that he died at, Corcoran or whatever, equals 42. And Charles Manson equals 142. If you add out 42, it equals 142. Manson family equals 142. But anyway, Homer thinks he's going to die by doing these surveys out of a magazine at the age of 42, and he freaks out and he needs a break. But he goes to work and he says he can't even trust these cowboys on the blanket.
I can't find a single violation or employee acting strangely. You got a heartbeat destined after me, and I don't entirely trust these cowboys. Is this man an employee?
Who knows? Maybe you can't even hear it. I could barely even hear it sitting here. The train going by. But just come to my blog. I'll leave a link to it, and you can check this out. Homer says he can't trust them cowboys. Then they have the desecrated flag. It's the same episode that, you know, Kid Rock's on. Same episode that Charlie Rose is on. Kid Rock, cowboy. You know, thinking about it, I should probably look into famous black cowboys, because I'm pretty sure I remember something to do with how there was a high population of black cowboys back in the old days, even though, you know, in movies they always portray them like John Wayne and Clint Eastwood, like white guys, you know. So, who knows? Something to think about, I guess. I was just now thought of it, but let's see here. So, in regards to the death of Terry Glenn, then, number 83 for the Cowboys, he also wore number 88 when he played for the Patriots. And just think about that. Patriots, you know, kneeling during the national anthem, unpatriotic. But he wore number 88. Everything about not standing during the national anthem is about this number 88. The word kneel. Kneel equals 88. Trump equals 88. The Star Spangled Banner equals 88. Colin Kaepernick equals 88. You know, and so on. Colin Kaepernick, rise up equals 88 in Gematria. And it's fitting that this guy would also wear the number 88, you know. 88 and 83. I also noticed some weird thing. You know, he died in Irving, Texas, and he was born in Columbus, Ohio, which all this stuff in regards to the flat earth goes back to Christopher Columbus and Washington Irving making it popular, right? So, and I even talked about Kyrie Irving before. Kyrie Irving believes in the flat earth because it's all, you know, part of his character that he's supposed to play, because his last name's Irving, and Washington Irving popularized the flat earth. And John Glenn The astronaut also was from Columbus. And here we got Terry Glenn. But whatever, I looked up Kyrie Irving, and the day that this guy Terry Glenn died, Kyrie Irving had an awesome game. He scored 47 points. And look who he beat, Dallas. The Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Cowboys equal 102. Dallas Mavericks equal 102. Dallas lost with 102 points. Tex Watson, the guy who killed Sharon Tate, equals 102. Sharon Marie Tate Polanski equals 102. Charles Manson died 102 days after the anniversary of the Tate murders on 8/9, which also began on 8/8. They went there on 8/8, but they didn't actually get murdered until 8/9, right? So 88, once again, fitting for the national anthem. Also, Charles Manson died on the 323rd day of the year, which was 11/19, November 19th. And his first encounter with Sharon Tate was on 3/23, which is also Kyrie Irving's birthday, 3/23. Think about Gordon Hayward, too, who also went to Boston. His birthday, 3/23. The word Lucifer in Jewish gematria equals 323. The other murders that they were famous for, La Bianca, that equals 323 in satanic gematria. So just interesting how it's connected to Kyrie Irving, who, he has this awesome game against the Dallas Mavericks. I'm talking about how it's connected to Dallas and Cowboys. Also, 11/19, the day that Charles Manson died, I forgot to mention in regards to the Simpsons episode. The Simpsons episode with Charlie Rose and Kid Rock in it, it just so happened to be the 19th episode of season 10. Or season 19th episode of the 11th season. 11/19. Season 11, episode 19. Just like the day that Charles Manson died, Super duper fitting. And think about Dallas in regards to JFK. What the original stuff that I was talking about in the beginning, how Marilyn Manson is connected to the JFK stuff. And then now I'm noticing all of this Charlie Manson cowboy stuff is synced up to Dallas, and Dallas is where JFK was assassinated. Also, one last thing in regards to football. So Terry Glenn, he was also he caught the first touchdown pass in the NFL from Tom Brady, and he played for Ohio State. Tom Brady, remember Tom Brady is the Michigan man who became the starter in the year 1998. Michigan and Ohio State, right? Rivals. Terry Glenn dies just before these two teams play each other this weekend, right? Let's look at Tom Brady in gematria for most people who don't know. Tom Brady in gematria equals 98. He became the starter at Michigan in the year 98. Jim Harbaugh equals 98. Remember in Super Bowl 49, they had the Snickers Brady Bunch commercial. Snickers equals 98. Brady Bunch equals 98. Michigan, or maybe it's just Wolverines. I can't remember. It's been so long. Michigan Wolverines equals 98 in gematria. New England Patriots equals 98 in gematria. So fitting. That's why Tom Brady is the New England Patriots star. He has name gematria that syncs up to the Patriots, also to Michigan where he played college. And also, in regards to 83, Tom Brady's birthday, 8/3, it's how fitting. Peyton Manning, born on the 83rd day of the year. It's how all of this works. Football equals 83. Anyway, I'm just going to keep rolling with this one. I just have no idea how to completely organize it. So, in regards to this Charlie Rose stuff, Charlie Rose was also appeared as himself on an episode of House of Cards, right? Think about House of Cards, Kevin Spacey, just in the media. A whole bunch of stuff with Kevin Spacey right after the Astros win the World Series. Spacey, right? And a long time ago when I documented about this episode of the Alligator and Kid Rock on this post about Colin Kaepernick way back when. The only reason I even thought of Kid Rock was because of Cowboy, and I was thinking about Space Cowboy, right? And the Simpsons even have that episode where they shoot the fireworks up in the air, and it shows the cowboy hat at the Super Bowl. It was this episode right here. It was the episode that had Tom Brady in it of the Simpsons. And Homer's doing the halftime show at the Super Bowl. And look, they shoot up this firework with the cowboy hat in space, right? The space cowboy. There was even an episode of Family Guy where Peter goes to his family or his class reunion and he's wearing the astronaut outfit with the cowboy hat on at James Garner High School. No, it's here somewhere. Just want to point out James Garner in the movie Space Cowboy. It also has Donald Sutherland, right? Kiefer Sutherland's father. Think about the cowboy theme yet again. But I've been talking about how it's all interrelated. So I know there's a whole lot of what I'm talking about, and it's hard to explain, but hopefully you get the gist of it. This episode of The Simpsons with Kid Rock and Charlie Rose, and think about Rose McGowan as well, but it's called Kill the Alligator and Run, which another reason I wrote in here, I was talking about the boy who got ate by the alligator on Donald Trump's birthday in 2016, which is Flag Day. And that boy is it was synced up exactly to everything in my life. Like he got ate they originally said Lake Buena Vista, Florida, Lake Buena Vista, Florida. And I went to college at Storm Lake, Iowa, at Buena Vista University. That equals 114 in gematria. And on Google Maps, it said where this kid lived was exactly 1 hour and 14 minutes away from where I lived. All kinds of stuff in regards to it, And that boy's name was Lane Graves. That equals... I put Lane's Graves. Lane Graves that equals 166. And in Jewish gematria, Kid Rock equals 166. Flag equals 166. He got ate on Flag Day. And I talked about how it was synced up to the Battle of the Buena Vista, right? And that was when Zachary Taylor, the president, got famous from the Battle of Buena Vista and the Mexican-American War. And think about that in regards to Texas yet again. But the Battle of the Buena Vista, the last person to get ate by an alligator before that kid, Lane Graves, was Richard Zachary Taylor. And he supposedly got ate on June 5th, 6'5". Look at Zachary Taylor in gematria. 65, and he's the only president to die at the age of 65. There was just so much stuff going on with the Native American theme, which is why I thought the Indians would be in the World Series that year. And it was synced up to the area I live, the town that I live in, who is famous for killing the last keeper of the sacred pole of the Omaha Indians, Chief Yellow Smoke. And if you read through the history, it says that the only reason that the Native Americans didn't come to town and kill the whole town was because the Freemasons put on their outfits and they went out there and the Indians knew Freemasonic symbols and they believed them and they didn't kill the whole town. So the town that I live in of 1,000 people, it was saved by Freemasons, pretty weird. So I'm sure I'm starting to lose people, but I'll leave some links in the description because they're super long and in-depth videos of how these media stories were connected to my own life. And that's just how I really thought the Indians would be in the World Series for all this Native American theming that was going on. And then, just while the Indians were in the World Series that last year, we got all the Dakota Access Pipeline stuff in North Dakota. And on this episode of The Simpsons, Kill the Alligator and Run, at the very end, they even do a little joke on North Dakota because they can't go back to Florida and they don't know where else to go. Think about Florida in regards to where this boy got ate by the alligator at Disneyland or Disney World or whatever it is, Lake Buena Vista, and the Battle of Buena Vista as well, And then they make fun of North Dakota, where it's all about the Dakota Access Pipeline stuff. Oh, let's see what else here. I think we'll leave it at that. You know, I guess there's a few other things like about Kid Rock. Kid Rock is he was the reason that Donald Trump got roasted on Comedy Central as well. Kid Rock was supposed to get roasted, and then for whatever reason he didn't do it. So Donald Trump got roasted, and then the same thing happened when Charlie Sheen got roasted. Kid Rock was supposed to be the one to get roasted. So there's something going on with that. That was when Seth MacFarlane was making jokes about Donald Trump being, he thought Donald Trump was going to be the next president. And they had the Grover Cleveland bill on the background with the 88 on it, you know, Trump equals 88. But Robert James Ritchie is Kid Rock's real name, equals 117. And he was born on January 17th, a lot like 117. Joe C's real name, I wrote Josepha, but Joseph Kaleha, or however you say his name, that equals 117. You know, how fitting. I'm also reminded of January 17th last year. I was talking a lot about it was synced up to Miami and the year that in Super Bowl V when the Colts beat the Cowboys in the Super Bowl on January 17th of the year 71, which is the day that Kid Rock was born. And, you know, think about 71 too. The word Catholic equals 71. Kid Rock equals 71 in Gematria. Also, he also married Pamela Anderson at one point, who was born on 7/1. She was also roasted on Comedy Central. And I was thinking about Kid Rock too. Kid Rock has the song I Am the Bull God. The bull god is Saturn, right? Saturn, L, Cronus. And Cronus is the god who ate his children. And he got faked out and he ate a rock, right? Ate a rock when Zeus was born. Kid Rock, like a Kid Rock. And Kid Rock equals 71, just like Zeus. And then he has this song, I Am the Bull God. Who knows? Just something interesting. I bet you there's some riddle of that's how he got his name, Kid Rock. Something to do with Cronus eating the rock that he thought was his kid. And it was actually Zeus who eventually came back and overthrew him or whatever. Also, in regards to Charles, just Charles Manson, Charlie Rose, you know, a bunch of stuff that's synced up to Prince Charles, it seems. And Donald Trump and Prince Charles have the same gematria. And there was all kinds of stuff with Princess Diana. I can't even remember it all, but Princess Diana was born on 7/1, and Prince Charles's new wife born on 7/17. And I think one of these birthdays was 7 months, one day away from Prince Charles's birthday. You know, all kinds of stuff with it. So there's a lot of 71 around Prince Charles. Kid Rock equals 71. Definitely something going on with Charles. And Kid Rock, you know, Charlie Sheen was supposed to be roasted and Donald Trump. So Charlie, once again, Charles, Charlie. But I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully you get the gist of it. I think the beginning of the video was all right. Then I kind of got lost because I don't even know how to organize half of this stuff. So have a good one. Peace.